Now, you may or may not know, if you have children involved, you know for sure, or teens, they'll be at this stage, of course. The state exams begin on June the 5th, leaving and junior cert, and run until June 25th. And did you know this, that two-thirds of young people are experiencing worrying levels of stress, according to a recent Reach Out poll. For the last 15 years, Ray Langan, known as the Mr. Motivator for Teens, has delivered seminars to over 90,000 students in 200 Irish secondary schools. This man has revolutionised the art of studying and exam preparation with his RAYSE THEIR GAME motivational study skills seminar. He's a study skills coach, school motivational speaker and exam anxiety therapist, and he's a very good friend of mine, and I'm delighted to have him back on the show. Ray Langan, welcome back to Late Lunch.
Jerry, thanks for having me. It's that time of the year again.
It is for sure, and we generally have a date around this time. Look, I want to ask you this to start off.
Sure.
Why is there, or am I of the impression that there's more pressure than ever today around exams? Why so?
Yeah, well, the first thing is this year's junior or leaving cert students, this is the last cohort of what we call the COVID kids. So they did not have a junior cert exam experience. So this is their first state exam. So for these students, it's a big deal. This is the first time that they're actually sitting a set of state exams. And then the second thing is there's so much hype today. There's so much focus. There's a lot of pressure, and young people are feeling it.
And Ray, you know, the modern teenager, just to expand a little on that, there's more anxiety. I want to come back to that point than ever. Has the bloody phone and the online world, I suppose it's a stupid question, added immensely to this?
Yeah, look, if you think back to your own secondary school experience, Jerry, you probably had 3-4 friends. You know, your mom and dad sent you off to school every day. It was a different era. Yeah. This is a time now where young people today, everything is big. There's a lot of pressure, there's a lot of hype, there's a lot of comparison, and that's the big game changer. Social media has changed the game. Severe anxiety in teenagers has doubled in the last 10 years. And for young people today, I suppose everything is bigger than what it was. And, you know, if you're not just comparing yourself against your best friend, your 3 best friends, you're now in a competition against the entire country, and young people are feeling that.
What advice would you have for youngsters today around the phone and social media? Because they're huge distractions, Ray. And we're going to talk now in a wee while about your pointers and advice for students, and parents will be listening in as well. What do you say? It's very difficult. People are addicted to this, and young people, to leave it down or get off the social media thing.
Actually, it's not just teenagers. The big problem is parents, and I say that respectfully. I'm dealing with parents every single day of the week, every day of the year, and part of the problem is that the phone has turned into an umbilical cord. So even parents want to know, where are you, what are you doing, how much study. So for all intents and purposes, young people are being project managed by their parents, and I'm seeing a lot of parents actually doing the Leaving Cert and the Junior Cert for the teenager, and that's adding to the pressure. So part of the advice, what I say to parents, step back, give them the space so they can step up, and then for young people to play their own game. This is your Junior Cert, it's your Leaving Cert, and you know, it is about playing their own game, running it their way, and actually parents to give them the space so they can make the mistakes to fall over, to fail, and to actually learn the lessons.
So, Ray, basically what you're saying is they're old enough and should be wise enough now to understand that they got to put it aside, they got to put the work in, and if they don't, it's a life lesson.
Yeah, and there's a problem out there, and part of the problem, Jerry, is that, you know, young people, you know, today, and I see this up and down the country, there's a difficulty around the level of work required. And because of things like grade inflation, because of the way things have transpired post-pandemic, we have the Leaving Cert adjustment that adds to the stress levels as well. And then just for a young person today, the problem today is that geography, Leaving Cert geography, Junior Cert science, history, geography, science. All these subjects are competing against Taylor Swift. They're competing against Justin Bieber. They're competing against social media, because it's very difficult for anyone now to sit down and to focus and concentrate for 30 seconds, never mind 30 minutes. And that's because we live in this media saturated world.
And I do say to you, I have to agree with you in one thing. Parents and people looking after teenagers who are heading for exams as well are as much culpable for addiction to the bloody thing as their sons and daughters, and they see that too. But let's park that for a second, because I want to go on to your 7 essential tips to help your teen dial down their exam stress. Look, we're less than 2 weeks away. There's still time, Ray, is there?
Yeah, there's still time. And look, we've 12 days. And, this is when all the cramming happens. And cramming is, and you crammed, I crammed, everybody crams. So, but the big message is that there's still time. There's some people, and I get the call from parents. I was only talking to parents today, and I run seminars in schools, and I run a coaching program as well, that absolutely, it's still all to play for. And you can get a lot of good work done in the last 10 or 12 weeks, or 10 or 12 days. And for a lot of boys in particular, they're what we call JIT studiers, just in time. So for a lot of people, they can still pull it out of the bag, but now is the time to get organised, to get focused. And one of the big messages that I'd be sort of sending out now at this stage, some people feel I've left it too late. The next 12 days is crucial. It's still all to play for.
Now, is it worth creating a study timetable and sticking to it? Is that a good plan?
Yeah, a big challenge for teenagers is they have no concept of time. So sitting down, and this is where mom and dad can help, is actually mapping out what you can do over the next 10 or 12 days. So I would definitely be studying into this weekend. I'd probably be breaking the next 12 days into 3 or 4 blocks, if that makes sense. And it's about creating a timetable, listing out your subjects, looking at what you can get covered, and breaking each day into what I would look at is 3 or 4 different blocks. So I use a technique called time blocking, and I break each day into 2-hour blocks, and you can kind of, break up the day before and after lunchtime. And for Leaving Cert students, for most of them now, they've graduated and they've got the next 10 or 12 days free. So it's about creating a plan, getting on top of a timetable, and making that time work for you.
You're a great man for advising to practice past papers. And I have to say, many moons ago, and it's many now, Ray, when I was at school, we had a brother called Brother McKinney, and he was the biggest fan of these practicing past papers. And you know what? It worked back in my day. Does it hold still today?
It's still the same today, Jerry. This is about getting out the past papers. Go to examinations.ie. It's up there. But for a student at this stage, even at this late stage of the game, and I'm talking junior cert and Leaving Cert students, this is why the mocks are really relevant. So I'd be pulling out my mock exam papers, getting a look at the feedback. I'd be talking to my teacher at this stage, and even knowing the layout of the paper, how many marks for each paper, the timing is crucial, and getting your exam strategy. So at this stage, there's 3 parts. It's about making the next 10 days work for you. Then there's the night before the exam, and then your exam strategy, and getting to know each paper intimately. That's a big part of knowing your exam strategy.
Now, your 4 and 5 out of your 7 key pointers of advice, I want to sort of bring them together. You talk about creating a time goal or an outcome goal for a study session, and you say, this thing of going in for an hour, 2 hours, some people 3 hours intensely going at it. You're more in favour of sprints rather than long distance.
Yeah, well, I created what's called a 30-minute study sprint. So, time you can get a lot done fast. So in 30 minutes, I teach a framework of how to break down a topic and rip through it from start to finish in what I call a sprint. So over an hour or 2 hour time frame, theoretically, you can get 3 or 4 topics actually done. And that's one of the other things is as a starting point, I would go to a past paper. I would actually look at the curriculum. I'd list out the topics, and I'd actually identify what are the hot topics, which are the ones that have the best chance of coming up. And we know for each paper. So, for example, in accounting, you have a choice. In section 1 of accounting, leaving cert accounting, the financial accounting, that's 120 marks for that question. That's 30% of the paper for one question. And that comes up every year. So if you're really good on financial accounting and that particular question 1, you've got 30% in the bag. So it's about getting focused and sitting down and saying for a session, okay, in the next 30 minutes, or what I love about giving yourself a time frame is you have a much better chance of staying focused. And you asked me about the phone there a few minutes ago. The phone has to be off your desk. And I know for students right now, they're multitasking. The biggest problem for everyone is they're watching YouTube, they've music going on, they're texting their friend. If your phone is in your pocket, if it's on your desk, and what I say to all students, ditch the phone, get into the zone, sit down for a study session. I'm going to bang out question 1 in accounting, or in history, I'm going to sit down now and I'm going to work my way through whatever topic, the Renaissance. It's having a specific goal for each session and then going into it with this sprint methodology, which comes from sports science. You can rip through stuff really quickly.
Ditch the phone, get into the zone. I love that. That is the message, and a big message to get out to young people when you're on that studying sprint that Ray is talking about. Now, I was one for this. I love this. Active learning. I used to pace up and down a little bit. People thought I was a bit mad. I don't know what good it did me, but I like it. Ray. Anyway, I was fit. Never mind mentally fit. You like it, though. You like active learning.
Yeah, well, active learning. Look, passive is when the information is coming at you. Sitting in a classroom with a teacher talking, that's kind of passive learning. Whereas active is taking the information and actually doing something with it. So when you're physically moving, when you're walking around the room, and I would layer on top of that a whiteboard, and actually one of the best techniques of all is probably the best technique of all is what we call retrieval practice. There's 2 parts to this. You have to get the information into your brain, but then you have to get the information out of your brain. You have to retrieve the information. So as you're pacing around the room, you're actually trying to recall and remember the information. According to John Dunlosky, that's the best study technique of all. Most people do this. They actually read, they highlight, and they rewrite, and they spend the majority of their study time rewriting the notes. It feels like you're doing a lot, but it's not effective. Whereas actually pacing around the room, movement, using a whiteboard, and forcing your brain to remember, that's the best technique. And by doing that, you're getting a lot of bang for your buck in terms of learning.
Rather than cram. Number 7, be strategic. Figure out more how you would answer the question and develop that strategy. That's your final pointer.
Yeah, I mean, look, again, now you're talking about the day of the exam, and the big mistake that everybody makes is they mess up the timing of the paper. So a simple thing, junior cert history, that's a 360 mark paper, 2 hours. You've 10 questions. You're going to have 10 or 12 marks. 12 minutes per question. The Leaving Cert history, that's a 400 marker. You've got 2 hours, 50 minutes. So give yourself 10 minutes at the start, 10 minutes at the end to read the answer to the questions. You've 37 and a half minutes per question. Where students make mistakes is that they either leave a question out, because it could be on the other side of the paper, or they actually leave early. And I can never understand students who leave early. Stay in the exam and write something down. It's amazing, just that effort. You get rewarded for that. So this again comes back to your exam strategy, and as simple as reading through a paper. But the problem for a lot of students is the anxiety piece. And what I train students with is when you're getting anxious, if you've ever gone blank in an exam, you're in what we call the reactive part of your brain. The amygdala is firing off. There's cortisol in the brain. You're panicking. You got to regulate, breathe. Even walking out of the exam hall for a minute, going to the bathroom and get back into the thinking part of your brain. And what I always say to students, remind yourself, I'm calm and confident under pressure. And for students who are brilliant at sports or maybe drama, they know what it's like to perform under pressure. So it's about reminding yourself you can do it, you've done the work, you know your stuff, and it's about just taking that moment to calm yourself down.
Wonderful advice. We've a minute to go. You've 1 minute to talk to parents. Come on, let's hear what you have to say to parents.
Well, the big thing for parents at this stage, look, I know a lot of parents, this is the most stressful time of the year. It's difficult. Teenagers today are it's a struggle. I know a lot of parents are walking on eggshells. There's a lot of tension. It's impacting other members of the family. And it's not easy for parents today. And the family dynamic has changed. There's a lot of lone parents out there as well, really struggling. So what I remind parents at this stage, you've done amazing to get to this stage of the school year. Clap yourself on the back. For a lot of students, they've graduated. It's about that last push, especially for Leaving Cert students who've had a very disrupted secondary school experience. Let's remind ourselves of that, this particular generation. So for parents at this stage, I'd actually, to acknowledge the achievement of getting to where you are, there's a couple of weeks, there's 2 or 3 weeks left. And really about at this stage, it's keeping yourself calm. Yeah. If you're calm, they're calm. Calm is contagious. And actually trusting your team. It's going to be okay. No matter what way the chips fall, you and I both know that the Leaving Cert, it's a milestone, but it doesn't determine what happens in the rest of your life. And for JC students, junior cert students, this is their first big experience of a test. Yeah. For some students, they're actually saying, sure, it's only the junior cert. Well, the junior cert's very valuable. Talk to Leaving Cert students this year because they didn't have it. But for parents, to remind yourself, it's about staying calm. It's about trusting your team and to acknowledge you've done a great job getting to this stage of your child's life.
Brilliant, Ray. Brilliant. We must do that book sometime. And what you mentioned there, go back to a Leaving Cert, see where we were going and look where we are today. Oh my God, it is only a point in time. Anyway, Ray, where can people find out more about you?
So for anybody who wants some information, it's www.raysethegame, R-A-Y-S-E, raysethegame.com. Be delighted to talk to you. Best of luck to all students, teenagers and young people and parents over the next couple of weeks.
Ray Langan, you're a star. Thank you so much for joining me again on the show today.
Thanks for having me, Jerry. Take care.
Welcome.